Donald Trump's new press secretary had her very first press briefing, and for an administration so thoroughly opposed to diversity and inclusion and so focused on putting America first, I noticed that it was pretty North Korean in nature in ways that you'll soon see. And so what they're doing is they're flooding the room with alternative media and stuff, some of which is fine. Like theoretically, that could be TYT. I'm not waiting by the phone for a seat or anything, but we know how this is actually gonna work. They're gonna bring in right-wing press chuckleheads. People who have a website that ostensibly looks like a serious press outlet, and instead it delivers things like what we're gonna show you. And so one of the first questions that was asked of Karoline Leavitt was by Matthew Boyle, Washington bureau chief for Breitbart News. Okay, that's Steve Bannon's former thing. And he started off by saying, Karoline, first off, thank you to you and President Trump for actually giving voices to media outlets that represent millions and millions of Americans. Yeah, that's what these are supposed to look like. The media is supposed to be complimenting the press secretary and the president. That's fun and good for a democracy. Next up was Brian Glenn, who managed to be worse. He's there for Real America's Voice, which is a thing. I think they generated the name of that network from an online randomizer. But anyway, he's also, by the way, the partner of Marjorie Taylor Greene. He has a seat in the press briefing. So he said, you look great. You're doing a great job. Fact check, she was not, but you talked about transparency, and some of us in this room know just how transparent President Trump has been the last 5 or 6 years. I think you'll do the same. But my question is, do you think this latest incident with the president of Colombia is indicative of the global and powerful respect they have for President Trump moving forward, not only to engage in economic diplomacy with these countries, but also world peace? And at that point, they actually called Donald Trump out onto the stage, and members of right-wing media began to physically gratify him. Sorry, that didn't actually happen, but are you sure it won't at some point? I just want to be clear to anyone who might have started paying attention to politics in the last year or two. The press briefings, I'm not saying they're supposed to be so hostile that Karoline Leavitt should be dodging Chuck Shoes or anything, but they're supposed to be trying to get answers to pressing questions. It is not supposed to be them complimenting her fashion or the job she's doing. It is not supposed to be them using their questions to just opine about how awesome the president is. That's not what our press briefing is supposed to look like. It's not what any democracy's press briefing is supposed to look like. But the issue is that that's where all the incentives are. Every one of these people is not only trying to get Donald Trump to look favorably on them, but because they're in right-wing media, and that's the only qualification for any job in government, they could well be secretaries in the cabinet soon. And so this is grotesque. It's also deeply embarrassing how any man could act like this in public with cameras on him. I don't understand, but he's gotten past, being seen in public with Marjorie Greene, so I guess he's fine with a lot. So Sharon, you're a member of the media. I would assume you know better. What do you think about this?
It's just so gross. It is so gross that someone is pimping themselves out like this. And I saw where she was giving the briefing and they would put up on the screen on their, I guess, White House channel about how they want people who aren't associated with this or that independent media. And you're so right, they don't want that. They want people to grovel and compliment dear leader. And really, they're not even asking any real questions. They're just affirming his chaos and nuttiness. And that's the qualification of the media today. But I will say this, and maybe I'm being too hard on mainstream media. We did forfeit, some of us, the right to be able to ask quality questions, because the same people who were standing up there shouting at Joe Biden, okay, as he limped into history, they're not doing that to Donald Trump. They're not doing it. Remember one of the last questions Joe Biden got? Who gets the credit for this? You or Trump? And he was like, it was just like, I'd rather you throw spitballs at me and put a Post-it note on my back that says kick me. Remember people did that in school? That's how they treated Biden. So in essence, some people fought it, Jim Acosta, he fought it, and now look, where will he end up over the next 4 years? He's probably just take a hiatus. Now what? They forfeited it. And now we have these clowns who are kissing the ring.
Yeah. 100% kissing the ring at the very least. Zim sent in a super chat to say it's definitely the year of the snake with the way these people are unhinging their jaws for Trump. Which, first of all,
oh, unhinging. I forgot about that.
Second of all, I've heard the stories. They don't need to unhinge their jaws. They're gonna be just fine. But anyway, let's bring it back out of the muck and the swamp there. Yeah, no, this is utterly embarrassing. And there's not a single right winger in that room or even watching the show right now that will be willing to be honest when I ask the question, is this how the press briefing should be under Joe Biden? Is this if AOC wins next time, should they all just stand up and give her compliments one after the other? And then make the case for the administration. Is that how it should work when it's not Donald Trump? You know, you're not gonna be willing to be honest. But I say that only so you feel the momentary, the quantum of shame inside of you, knowing, oh, I lead a ridiculous existence. I have no true values. I just bow down to someone I unfortunately think of as strong. Thanks for watching our video. Did you know that you can support our show by becoming a subscriber? Just click the subscribe button and also ring the bell so that you get notifications when we're live or when we post new content.